I welcome all viewers of freedom. My name's Yulia Horova. This is Our Time, a show about the most relevant and most interesting topics. 3 people have died and 8 more were injured. The Russian army struck Dnipro with a ballistic missile. This was reported by the head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration, Vladislav Hoivanenko. This morning, the enemy launched a missile attack on Dnipro.
This morning, the enemy carried out a missile attack on Dnipro. At this moment, it is known that 3 people have died. There are injured, preliminarily, 8 people. The rescue operation is ongoing. A service station and a business have been damaged.
All services. There were also explosions in the region today. Russia launched drones and fired artillery. As a result of the shelling in the Pavlograd district, a fire broke out and infrastructure was damaged. This was reported by local authorities. In the Nikopol community, an apartment building was hit. Fortunately, there were no casualties. There were also explosions today in the Kherson region. In the morning, the Russian army shelled the village of Chernihiv, injuring 2 people. The strike caused partial destruction of residential houses. A fire broke out on the roof of one of them. Rescuers have already extinguished the fire. 2 people were injured as a result of drone attacks in the Chernihiv region. In the Krukiev district, a fire broke out at one of the infrastructure facilities. In Chernihiv, a residential house, an outbuilding, and a car caught fire. The injured are receiving the necessary medical assistance. In total, over the past day, Russia launched 89 drones at Ukraine. About 55 of them were Shaheds. This was reported by the air forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Ukrainian air defenders neutralized 63 drones of various types in the north, south, and east of the country. Strikes were recorded at 9 locations. Russia must be held accountable for war crimes. This was stated by the European Commissioner for Justice, Michael McGrath, in an interview with politicians. He added that Trump's desire to secure peace in Ukraine should not allow the Russian dictator Putin to evade responsibility for war crimes. The European Commissioner also emphasized that negotiators must ensure that a ceasefire does not provide an opportunity to avoid prosecution.
If we act this way, allowing impunity for these crimes, we will be sowing the seeds for the next wave of aggression and the next invasion. We cannot disregard the rights of the victims of Russian aggression and Russian crimes. Millions of lives have been taken, people have been forcibly displaced, and we have enough evidence. Michael McGrath, European Commissioner for Justice, in an interview with Politico. Amsterdam is allocating an additional €250 million to the PURL initiative for purchasing American weapons for Ukraine. This was announced by the Dutch Minister of Defense, Ruben Brekelmans. According to him, Ukraine is in urgent need of military assistance today. Brekelmans also called on other European countries to follow the Netherlands' example. The Netherlands became the first country to contribute to PURL. We allocated a full package of €500 million after the summer. And of course, we are also urging others to do the same. We've seen various countries also spend significant amounts on the PURL program. Germany, Norway, Denmark, and others. Now we see that Ukraine is truly in urgent need of anti-aircraft missiles and equipment for the F-16. That is why we are contributing another €250 million.
In Brussels, there will be closed-door talks between NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and Ukraine's Defense Minister Denis Shmyhal. The meeting will take place at NATO headquarters. The alliance has already called these talks important, as they're happening against the backdrop of international discussions about Trump's peace plan. According to sources, the parties intend to discuss support for the Ukrainian army, as well as further integration of Ukraine into Euro-Atlantic structures and the implementation of decisions previously made by NATO member states. This week could be a key one for diplomacy. This was stated by the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Kaja Kallas, ahead of the meeting of EU defense ministers. According to her, it is necessary to strengthen Ukraine's position as much as possible, and the pressure on Russia must be increased.
It's clear that Russia does not want peace, and that's why we need to strengthen Ukraine as much as possible so that it is ready to stand up for itself, especially during these very, very difficult times. This week could be a key one for diplomacy. Yesterday, we heard that the talks in America were difficult but productive. There are two things we are doing. First, we are putting pressure on Russia with new sanctions and a reparations loan, which it is very afraid of. Second, we are providing Ukraine with military, financial, and humanitarian support so that it can hold out longer than the Russian Federation.
Today, the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, is visiting France. There, he has a meeting scheduled with his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron. And before that, Zelenskyy discussed peace talks in the U.S. with the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, and emphasized that the dialogue was constructive.
There are some difficult issues that still need to be worked on. Our representatives will return to Europe in the coming days, and after speaking with them and receiving a full report on the progress of the negotiations, we will decide on our next steps. Today, meetings with our friends in Europe are also scheduled. It'll be a very eventful day. Diplomacy, defense, energy. The priorities are clear. Thank you to everyone who is helping. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
Donald Trump also expressed a certain optimism regarding the negotiations between Kyiv and Washington. He said this while speaking with journalists. The head of the White House emphasized that the negotiation process is going well. Trump drew these conclusions after speaking with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Representative Steve Witkoff following a meeting with the Ukrainian delegation in Florida.
I spoke with them, and they are doing a good job. Ukraine has some problems, but I think Russia would like this to end, and I know that Ukraine would like this to end as well. I think there's a good chance that we can reach an agreement. Donald Trump, President of the United States.
Let me remind you that negotiations between Ukraine and the United States took place in Miami the day before. The head of the American delegation, Marco Rubio, emphasized the need to provide Kyiv with long-term security guarantees. At the same time, according to him, Russia must, and I quote, become part of the equation. In turn, the head of the Ukrainian delegation, Rustem Umerov, thanked Washington and noted that the meeting was productive and successful. Donald Trump's special representative, Steve Witkoff, will travel to Moscow to meet with the Russian dictator, Vladimir Putin. The negotiations will take place tomorrow, on Tuesday, according to Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov. It is still unclear whether Jared Kushner will also go to the Kremlin. Earlier, Trump suggested that his son-in-law might join the trip. Back on November 26th, he said that the visit to Moscow would take place the following week, but didn't specify an exact date at that time. A concentration of Russian National Guard troops and enemy equipment was hit. Ukrainian intelligence operatives carried out a successful operation in temporarily occupied Berdiansk, Zaporizhia region. This was reported by the press service of the main intelligence directorate of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. In particular, 5 Russian National Guard officers were killed, and 4 more were seriously wounded. 2 Russian pickup trucks and a Tiger-type armored vehicle were also damaged. The operation took place on November 19th. Vilnius Airport has resumed operations after the airspace restriction. It was closed for about 11 hours. The airspace was temporarily closed due to navigational signals characteristic of balloons flying from Belarus toward the airport. Let me remind you that a few days ago, the airport also suspended operations because of weather balloons from Belarus. And the Lithuanian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kęstutis Budrys, has appealed to the European Commission, requesting assistance in imposing additional sanctions against Minsk due to the flights of balloons carrying contraband.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.